Okay, hopefully everyone can see us. Welcome today. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar on ABLE accounts, what they are, how to use them, and all of the nitty-gritty behind them. My name is Beth Cohen-King, and I'm the marketing director at Margolis & Bloom. And today we are fortunate enough to have Mirele Mann, who also works at M&B with us, to talk all about ABLE accounts. And just so you know, she recently did a podcast with Ask Harry. I'm not sure if some of the listeners here are familiar, but if not, she also did one on ABLE accounts, and I would go check out the Ask Harry podcast. Those are on our website under the resources section, and then you can either get a link to Mirele's specific one on ABLE accounts, and you can also find it on her bio page under the attorney section on our website. So lots of great content there, lots of things to cross-reference. If you just want to know a little bit more and dive a little bit deeper, this is the content, and this is you can find it over on our website. So please feel free to ask questions in the question panel. We're going to incorporate them. If you see my face come on, that means that I'm about to ask Mirele a question and put her on the spot. We will have time afterwards for questions if anything comes up, and if we're not able to answer it on the spot, Mirele will make sure she gets back to you within the next few weeks on answers to those questions. And also, no worries if you need to jump off, if there's a technical difficulty, anything that comes up, life in general, we are recording the presentation, so you will have that available within the next week or so. It usually takes about a week for us to turn around the assets and everything. So with that, Mirele, thank you for being here, and I'm going to let you take it away. Nope. Mirele, you there?
Yep, I'm here. Sorry, just waiting for the next slide.
Oh, okay. There's us.
All right. All right, well, thank you everyone for joining me on this Tuesday afternoon to discuss ABLE accounts. Just to kind of discuss what I'll be going over today, we're going to start with the ABLE accounts history, so going back to the legislative history, and then discussing what exactly is an ABLE account, touching on eligibility, so who can open an ABLE account, contributions, how much and who can contribute to an ABLE account. We'll then discuss how ABLE accounts are compatible with SSI and Medicaid eligibility. We'll go over the tax benefits of having an ABLE account, and then finally we'll go over how to go about opening one.
Sorry.
All right, so taking a step back, what exactly is the federal law that made ABLE accounts possible? This would be the Achieving a Better Life Experience Act, also known as the ABLE Act, and it was became law on December 19th of 2014. The whole point of the act was to establish a tax-free savings account for eligible individuals who have disabilities, with the goal being to increase their financial independence and improve the quality of life for them and for their families as well. Okay, so what exactly is an ABLE account? An ABLE account is a tax-advantaged savings account, which is not counted in determining the beneficiary's eligibility for public benefits. So essentially, this is an opportunity for eligible individuals to save for certain expenses while still maintaining their eligibility for means-tested benefits. So these include SSI, also known as Supplemental Security Income, SNAP, which is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, Medicaid, and subsidized housing. So practically speaking, what an ABLE account allows the eligible individual to do is to avoid having to do the constant monthly spend down to meet the resource limits for SSI and Medicaid. And in effect, it also builds a sense of independence, of autonomy and self-worth, because it gives these individuals the chance to accrue savings and manage their own accounts. Okay, so who is eligible to own an ABLE account? So who are ABLE accounts meant for? These are folks that have a physical or mental disability that can be expected to last for at least 1 year or can cause death. Or it's an individual that has a disability that is included on the Social Security Administration list of compassionate allowances conditions, or it's an individual who's blind. But in any of these three cases, the disability must have existed before the age of 26. So the individual does have to self-certify that they meet these conditions, and they may have to show proof of disability. So it could be a certification by a medical provider, but if you are receiving SSI or SSDI prior to the age of 26, then showing that you are eligible for either of those two is certification enough to show that you're eligible to own an ABLE account. All right, so who can establish an ABLE account? Who can go into the financial institution and open the account? So the designated beneficiary, which I've also been referring to as the eligible individual, who's also the individual with disabilities. These are all the same person, but they themselves can go in and establish the account if they are at least 18 years old and they have legal authority to open the account. If they're a minor or they don't have legal authority, then their parent or legal guardian can open the account for them, as well as their attorney-in-fact under a power of attorney. In any case, there is only one account allowed per designated beneficiary. And who can contribute to an ABLE account? So the IRS says that any person may contribute to or deposit funds into an ABLE account. And the Internal Revenue Code defines a person as not only an individual, but also a trust, an estate, a partnership, a company, a corporation. So the answer is really anyone. And this includes the designated beneficiary, him or herself. They can put in their own income and assets. It can include anyone who wants to make a gift to the designated beneficiary. If the designated beneficiary inherited money or won settlement money, then they can also just deposit that into their account as well. So there are limitations to how much can be contributed annually to an ABLE account. The rule is that total contributions from any source at all in a single calendar year is limited to the annual gift tax exclusion amount. And in 2021, that is $15,000. So in any given year, you can only contribute $15,000 to your ABLE account. There is an exception for ABLE account owners who are employed and are not contributing to a retirement plan. It is kind of a tricky calculation, but for all intents and purposes, working designated beneficiaries can make an additional contribution of $12,750 a year for 2021. And it's just important to note that if more than $15,000 is contributed to the ABLE account in any given year, the account will lose its exempt status and it will be deemed an available resource for purposes of SSI and Medicaid. And speaking of SSI and Medicaid, will an ABLE account impact Social Security and Medicaid eligibility? So in short, it really depends. An account balance of up to $100,000 is not considered a countable resource by Social Security. Any amount over the $100,000 balance does count towards that individual's $2,000 resource limit for their SSI eligibility. But the good news is that Medicaid eligibility is not affected by the ABLE account balance. And so even if you're above $100,000, then your Medicaid eligibility will continue uninterrupted. So what does happen if you exceed that $100,000 balance? So if we're talking about SSI benefits, they will be suspended up until the account balance falls below $100,000 again. For Medicaid, you will retain your eligibility, but in Massachusetts, you can't have more than $400,000 in your ABLE account. So even if it is over $100,000, your Medicaid eligibility is fine as long as that balance is below $400,000. But your SSI benefits will be suspended. And just important to note that the resource limit is not is determined by the amount in the account on the first of the month. So you can have funds sitting in your ABLE account over the $100,000 limit, as long as by the first of the month it drops below that limit, in order to keep your SSI benefits intact. Are ABLE accounts subject to a Medicaid payback provision? Yes. So the payback provision requires that if there are any funds left over in the ABLE account when the designated beneficiary passes away, then the state is entitled to reimbursement of the cost of any Medicaid-funded service which was received starting from the date of the establishment of the ABLE account. So once Medicaid has been reimbursed for all its funded services, if there are remaining funds in the account, only then can it be distributed to the account owner's legal beneficiaries. All right, so as I mentioned at the very beginning, this is a tax-advantaged account. So ABLE accounts do have special tax advantages. First and foremost, earnings on an ABLE account and distributions from the account, as long as they're used for what are known as qualified disability expenses, or QDEs, which we'll be discussing soon, are not counted as taxable income. So funds in your ABLE account will grow tax-free and can be withdrawn tax-free, with that caveat that they are spent on qualified disability expenses. So if you make a withdrawal from your ABLE account that is not for a qualified disability expense, so a non-qualified expense, then that withdrawal will be subject to a tax and penalty. Okay, so what exactly are qualified disability expenses? Like I said, if you want to get the tax benefits of an ABLE account, you need to spend the funds of the account on QDEs. But luckily, the definition of a QDE is very broad. So any expense that is related to the account owner's blindness or disability, which is made for the benefit of the designated beneficiary in order to improve their health, independence, or quality of life. So again, very broad. This includes education, it includes housing, transportation, any sort of employment training or support, health, prevention, and wellness. It even covers legal fees. If there are any expenses associated with actually the ABLE account oversight and monitoring, that falls under a QDE, and includes basic living expenses, so food, for example. So are ABLE accounts transferable? Yes, they can be transferred to someone in the eligible individual's family, as long as that person who they are transferred to is also a qualified individual. And the cool thing about ABLE accounts is the 529 rollover option. So say, for example, a parent has a child who is disabled, and the parent has started a 529 plan for that child's higher education. And it turns out that the child is no longer able to pursue higher education. So in this case, the 529 plan can be rolled into the ABLE account, as long as obviously the beneficiary is eligible for ABLE. And it can even be rolled over into account for the benefit of that disabled individual's siblings, and actually also step siblings and half siblings. And practically speaking, this is great because it's allowing families to avoid or mitigate financial penalties that would typically be involved with liquidating a 529 plan for beneficiaries who can't use them for their intended purpose, and instead allows those funds to be repositioned for the disabled beneficiary. But just important to keep in mind that rollovers from a Section 529 plan do count towards that annual contribution limit of $15,000. So again, it is limited per year. $15,000 can be contributed to the ABLE account, even with the 529 rollover option. Okay, so how do you open an ABLE account? Well, ABLE accounts are administered on the state level, and you can actually enroll in any state's program regardless of where you live. So Massachusetts actually launched its own ABLE program in May of 2017. It was the 21st state to launch such a program. In Massachusetts, you'll see there it's known as the Attainable Savings Plan, and it is actually managed by Fidelity Investments. So if you're interested in looking at the different programs that states have to offer, what kind of investment options, whether or not they'll give you a debit or credit card, then the ABLE National Resource Center is a really good place to look. So just to recap the key features of ABLE accounts, first and foremost, anyone can put money into it. It could be the owner of the account, it could be inheritance, it could be a third party, it could be anyone who wishes to make a gift. This goes back to that really broad definition of person under the Internal Revenue Code. And how much can they give is limited to the annual gift tax exclusion and in 2021, that's $15,000 a year. So if the gift tax exclusion goes up, then you can contribute more. If it goes down, then you contribute less. But it does mirror that exclusion. If the designated beneficiary is receiving SSI, the account cannot exceed $100,000. If it does exceed $100,000, SSI benefits will be suspended and will not be reinstated until the account once again falls below $100,000. And as a reminder, in order to get those awesome tax benefits of an ABLE account, then the funds must be used for QDEs, also known as qualified disability expenses. Luckily, QDEs are very broad and encompass just about anything you might want to spend money on. So distributions made for QDEs are tax-free, and any income earned in an ABLE is also not taxed. And probably the most important piece is that in order to be eligible to open an ABLE account, you must have a disabling condition, as we discussed, blindness or physical or mental disability that manifested itself prior to the age of 26, or you have to show proof of your eligibility for SSI or SSDI before you turn 26. And that's pretty much the summary of ABLE accounts. And we definitely have time for questions if anyone has any.
Yeah, Mirele, thank you so much. So I'm going to also put up your contact information here. Thank you so much for kind of deep diving into all of the things ABLE accounts. I am not seeing any questions come in right now. I'll give you guys a minute or so to, if you have anything that comes up. But if not, here is Mirele's contact info. We'll leave this up on the screen. If something comes up and you have a follow-up question, please reach out to her, and she's sort of our guru on ABLE accounts here. So I will be sending out this recording if you missed anything, and I think with that, thank you to everybody. I hope you enjoy the day wherever you are. Okay, I don't see anything, so we will conclude. Thank you, Mirele, so much.
Sure, thank you.
Okay. Take care, everyone.